How can a country that hates war have a secret army? This is the story of Japan. For 70 years, it promised to never fight again. But now, that promise is being tested. It has ships that look like aircraft carriers. It has jets that are invisible to radar. And it bought missiles that can fly over 1,000 miles. So what changed? Imagine your biggest threat lives right next door. Imagine they fire missiles over your head all the time. How long can you stay peaceful? Japan decided it could not wait any longer. It is building a strong shield to protect its people. This is not about starting a fight. This is about being ready to end one. By the end of this video, you will understand this silent change. You will see why Japan's quiet strength is a new kind of power. This is the untold story of Japan's self-defense force. A long time ago, Japan surrendered after a huge war. Its cities were left in ruins. So Japan wrote a new promise into its law. The promise was to never fight a war again. But the world had other plans. A new war began just next door in Korea. Japan realized it could not protect its people. So in 1954, Japan created the Self-Defense Forces, but they did not call it a military. Its only job was to defend the homeland. This created a strange problem. It was a force that could only defend, never attack. The United States promised to be Japan's shield. This deal let Japan focus on getting rich and peaceful. But behind this quiet promise, Japan was building something strong. From the 1950s to the 1990s, Japan's army grew in secret. It did not want anyone to see its true power, but it was becoming very, very strong. How did it do this without anyone noticing? It built ships with amazing Aegis radar shields to stop attacks. It made submarines that were almost silent in the deep ocean. By the 1980s, it flew over 200 F-15 fighter jets, some of the best in the sky. All this while promising not to be a big army. In 1976, Japan made a rule to spend only a tiny part of its money on defense. This forced them to build quality, not quantity. Each piece of equipment was the best it could be. It was a secret army hiding in plain sight. The world saw a peaceful country, but the hidden guardians were always watching and ready. But in the 1990s, something changed. The law was very clear. Japan's soldiers could not fight in other lands. For decades, this rule was never broken. But in the 1990s, the world started asking for Japan's help, and Japan had to make a very hard choice. In 1992, Japanese soldiers went to Cambodia. Their job was to clear dangerous landmines and help rebuild. This was the first time they were on foreign soil. Since the big war, it was a huge step for a peaceful nation. Then in 2003, they went to Iraq. But they were not there to fight. They helped give people clean water and medical aid. Other countries had to protect them while they worked. By 2009, Japan's ships were sailing near Africa. They protected other boats from pirates. Japan even built its first small base in another country called Djibouti. This showed Japan was ready to be a global helper. These small steps were very important. They showed Japan could help keep the world safe. But sometimes not being able to fight was a big problem. This frustration would lead to even bigger changes. But a new, scarier problem was closer to home. North Korea started firing missiles right over Japan. A nightmare arrived right at Japan's front door. North Korea started testing big missiles. In 1998, one of those missiles flew right over Japan. People were scared, but Japan's army couldn't shoot back. Then another problem appeared in the sea. China began sending its warships very close to Japan's islands. These are the Senkaku Islands, and Japan says they belong to them. By 2012, Chinese ships were there almost every single day. Even Russia started making more military moves near Japan's north. Japan felt like it was being surrounded. The old promise to be peaceful felt very dangerous now. Imagine hearing a siren because a missile is flying over your head. This really happened in 2017. But the JSDF was not allowed to stop the threat. That feeling of helplessness was the final push for a big change. So in 2015, Japan made a decision that shattered 70 years of precedent. For a long time, Japan had a very strict rule. Its army could only protect Japan. It could not help its friends, even the United States. This rule made teamwork with other countries very hard. Then, in 2015, a new leader named Abe made a big change. He didn't erase the old rule. He just gave it a new meaning. He He said Japan could now help its friends fight, but only if Japan itself was also in real danger. This new idea was called collective self-defense. Many people in Japan were very angry about this. They were scared it would bring back the old bad army, but other people said it was the only way to stay safe. This was the biggest change to Japan's military rules since the Big War. It was the first step in becoming a strong, active partner for its allies. But 2015 was just the beginning, because in 2022, Japan announced its biggest military buildup ever. In December 2022, Japan made a huge announcement. It was a plan to change its army in a massive way. Japan said it would double its money for defense in just 5 years. For the first time, Japan also said it would buy long-range missiles. This was a total revolution in its thinking. The old promise was to only defend. The new promise is to stop a fight before it starts. Japan named China as its biggest challenge. This new budget will make Japan the third biggest military spender in the world. It is buying American Tomahawk missiles. These missiles can fly over 1,000 miles. Japan is also building its own super-fast hypersonic missiles. This sends a very clear message to its neighbors. It says Japan is not weak and is ready to protect itself. This time, there were not many protests in Japan. People saw the war in Ukraine and the missiles from North Korea. They understood the world had become a more dangerous place. 10 years ago, this plan was just an idea. Today, it is the new reality. But a plan on paper is not a real army. And by 2025, Japan's new ships and planes were ready to show their power. By 2025, Japan's army looked completely different. It now had ships that acted like real aircraft carriers. These ships, called Izumo class, once carried only helicopters. Now they can launch the world's most advanced stealth fighters. These fighters are the F-35B jets, and they can take off vertically. Japan has more than 100 of these amazing jets. That's the biggest F-35 fleet of any country, except for the US. These jets can fly without being seen on radar. They give Japan control of the skies. Japan's Navy also has powerful Aegis destroyers. These ships have special radars and missiles to stop attacks from the sky. They can shoot down enemy missiles before they hit Japan deep under the water. Japan has super quiet submarines. The Soryu class and Taigei class subs are some of the best in the world. They can hide for a very long time and protect Japan's seas. This new power lets Japan protect its friends and its own land. It's amazing to think that in 2010, Japan said it had no aircraft carriers. Now in 2025, it has 2, but just calls them destroyers. But ships and jets are tools from the last century. The real new battle is being fought in space and on computers. Modern war is not just about tanks and ships. It's also fought in space and on the internet. Japan knew this very early. In 2020, Japan created a space operations squadron. Their job is to watch the sky from above. They use satellites to keep an eye on other countries. Then in 2022, Japan made a cyber defense command. These are the internet soldiers. They protect Japan's computers from bad hackers. Every day, hackers from China and North Korea try to attack Japan. They want to break into important systems. This is a silent, invisible war that never stops. Japan's satellites help it see danger coming from far away. Its cyber team protects things like power and water for everyone. This is how Japan stays safe in the 21st century. But all these capabilities, carriers, missiles, satellites, cyber units, mean nothing if Japan fights alone. And that's exactly what Japan refuses to do. Japan is not building its new army all by itself. It is working very closely with its strong friends. The United States is Japan's most important partner. Together, they practice for real battles. They even train for what might happen near Taiwan. Japan also teams up with South Korea and Australia. This group of friends is part of an even bigger team called the Quad. Their goal is to keep the Indo-Pacific region safe and free. This is not just for show. These are real war games. A few years ago, Japan was too scared to even talk about Taiwan. Now, Japanese leaders say a problem there is also a problem for Japan. This is a very big deal. So from the ashes of war to a powerful new fleet, Japan has changed completely. And now the whole world is finally paying attention. In 2025, Japan's army is like a phoenix bird. It rose from the ashes not to fight, but to stay safe. This new power is one of the strongest in the world. It has almost 150 stealth fighters that are invisible to radar. It has 2 aircraft carriers launching these jets. It spends over $80 billion a year on defense. This is not about starting a war. It's about having a strong shield and a sharp sword. The shield protects Japan from any attack. The sword can stop a fight before it even starts. Friends like America see Japan as a strong partner, but countries like China see its power as a big problem. Here is the amazing part. Japan's army is very powerful, but it is not a bully. It defends without wanting to conquer. It is strong without being scary or mean. This is the quiet power of Japan. So from giving up in 1945, Japan shows that being peaceful does not mean being weak. The phoenix has risen, and the world is watching. Japan's army is not what most people think. It is a real fighting force with the best technology in the world. But here is the secret. Japan did not give up on peace. It just found a new way to protect it. Being strong does not mean you have to be a bully. Right now, its F-35 jets are ready to fly from its carriers. Its ships are guarding the sea, watching for danger. Its soldiers are training with friends from other countries. This is Japan's quiet power. The phoenix rose from the ashes, ready to protect, not to attack. And in 2025, that promise is stronger than ever. From the end of a big war to being ready in 2025. From a promise of peace to having new, strong missiles, Japan's army changed. But it kept its promise to its people. Its quiet power is now for all the world to see. If this video helped you see Japan's army in a new way, you now understand why this change is so important for everyone. This is one of the biggest changes of our time. If you learned something, please hit the like button, subscribe for more stories about our world. Comment below, is Japan's new army a good thing? Want to see how Japan's army compares to China's? See you next time.